Have you ever heard the phrase, the devil is in the details? Well, this executive order takes about 10 minutes to dissect, but I do believe that it points to all signs that within the next 240 days, we will no longer have a democracy in the United States of America, and instead will be led into a fascist dictatorship run by Elon Musk, most definitely, with a side of Donald Trump. This takes a while to get through. I urge you to watch it at 2 times speed. If that helps, I'll put captions on it. But I need you to listen. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments because I'm concerned and you should be too. Let's get into it. This executive order was signed yesterday by President Trump. It is called the Implementing the President's Department of Government Efficiency, otherwise known as DOGE, Workforce Optimization Initiative. Here's the quick overview. If you want to drop off after, that's fine. I hope you stick around for the details. Trump has presented this as the idea that we are overspending in our federal government in terms of employees, and that we need to essentially gut these agencies and departments in order to be, quote, more efficient. Who's this going to affect? It's going to affect federal agencies across the board, except for, interestingly enough, the president's office. Big highlights include the fact that there are so many job cuts. Specifically outlined in this document is that for every 4 employees who leave, only 1 new employee may be hired. Agencies are also being asked to focus on hiring the most important positions first, and a special team will oversee hiring and decide which jobs are necessary and which are not. Who's getting cut first? Agencies will prepare for large-scale job cuts, but those on the front lines are going to be programs that aren't required by specific laws. For example, any DEI programs or any diversity initiatives. There are new rules for hiring within the federal government, which means that those applying must meet stricter standards, such as paying taxes on time and following undisclosed confidentiality rules. So there's certain pieces to this that we don't know yet. We know historically, Trump has asked people he is hiring, or Trump's administration has asked people they are hiring, who they've voted for. Future plans for this include figuring out which agencies need to be completely eliminated and which ones need to merge into one. And we are not going to have any true findings on this or plans moving forward until 240 days from yesterday, the date of signing, because all agency leads are to submit a report to President Trump to make further decisions from. Let's get into the details. In fact, I believe in this case, the devil is in the details, meaning that this executive order looks fairly simple and straightforward on the surface, but now we're in the text, so let's see what it actually means. I've got a notebook. I've got stuff up on the screen behind me. We are doing the deepest dive. Right away, Section 1 says, to restore accountability to the American public, this order commences a critical transformation of the federal bureaucracy by eliminating, quote, waste, bloat, and insularity. My administration will empower American families, workers, taxpayers, and our system of government itself. What was that last line? And our system of government itself. Yes, he's at least admitting to the fact that he is destroying democracy from within. And the way he's going to start doing that is by attacking federal bureaucracy. So who makes up the bureaucracy? Well, a bureaucracy includes those who are appointed to positions rather than elected to positions within the government. These would be things like department heads, agency leads, military personnel. Yes, you heard that correctly. Generals, admirals, anybody else who is a leader in the military that is appointed that position because they have earned it. Donald Trump wants a say. He wants to get rid of a lot of this. The reason Donald Trump wants to gut bureaucrats from our system is because they are there to be a system of checks and balances for the president. People in these roles take an oath to the Constitution, not the president. These are also positions that are impersonal, meaning they are to uphold the law. They are not influenced by personal relationships or favors. Let's jump down to Section 3. Yes, that kind of language is intentional because they don't want you to read it. Don't worry, I got you. Now we're talking about not just a hiring freeze that was put into effect on January 20th when he was inaugurated, but now we're talking about a hiring ratio. So this states that the plan, meaning the federal government's workforce through efficiency improvements and attrition plan, the plan shall require that each agency hire no more than 1 employee for every 4 employees that depart. And depart meaning here they either leave on their own or they are fired. Skipping down, this ratio shall not apply to functions related to public safety, immigration enforcement, or law enforcement. Notice it does not say anything about the military. The only departments throughout this entire executive order that are marked as, quote, safe are law enforcement and immigration. Those are the only 2 departments. Back for a second. So far we understand from this executive order that number one, we want to eliminate as much as possible the bureaucracy, those that are in positions because they have been appointed those positions, not elected officials. We want to get rid of the bureaucracy because they keep the president in check. We now have two departments that are safe from this hiring ratio, from this elimination of departments, and those two are law enforcement as well as immigration, not military. You also need to know that the military takes an oath to the Constitution, not the president. That's an important fact here. Here comes the power move, because if I remove the bureaucracy and only include people who agree with me as the president, and then I do whatever I want with my military and can weaponize immigration, aka ICE, as well as law enforcement, which I've talked about wanting to weaponize, I have a Gestapo. No one to challenge me and a Gestapo. Stay with me. I've got to talk about the numbers. What do our numbers look like then in the federal government with the new ratio in place, as well as what the new rules are for hiring and who has the final say on hiring? So based on that 1-to-4 ratio, for every 4 that leave, 1 can be hired. This is the projection for our federal government over the next 10 years. Based on the projection, if 10% of the federal workforce leaves each year and the government hires only 1 new employee for every 4 that leave, the total number of federal employees would decrease from 3 million to about 1.49 million over 10 years, which is a 50% reduction. We will cut our federal government agencies, employees, people that safeguard us, people that protect us, people that uphold the law by 50% over the next decade. Let's recap again, because I know this is a lot. In this executive order alone, Donald Trump has asked that we reduce the bureaucracy, those that keep him in check. He has asked that we eliminate, consolidate, cut, gut, however you want to say it, all government agencies except law enforcement and ICE, which he can weaponize as a Gestapo. And he has a plan in place that if it remains in place over the next decade, will cut our government quite literally in half. Here's the last piece. How do you get to work in the government moving forward, and who approves you to work? Scrolling even further down this executive order, you have rulemaking. Within 30 days of the date of this order, the Director of the Office of Personnel Management shall initiate a rulemaking that proposes to revise that code to include additional suitability criteria for working in the government, the federal government. You can't work there if you fail to comply with general applicable legal obligations, including timely filing of a tax return, failure to comply with any provision that would preclude regular federal service, including citizenship requirements, refusal to certify compliance with any applicable non-disclosure obligations consistent with that code, and failure to adhere to those compliance obligations in the course of federal employment, and theft or misuse of government resources. What's the one that sticks out to you? Is it this one? Refusal to certify compliance with any applicable non-disclosure obligation. If you're not willing to comply with whatever they ask you to sign, you're out. This is how Trump gets MAGA-only federal government employees. Here's the final puzzle piece to the dictatorship, the oligarchy, the monarchy, whatever term we're presently using. Fascism. Who does the approvals? Well, each agency head shall develop a data-driven plan in consultation with its DOGE team lead to ensure new career appointment hires are in highest need areas. This hiring plan shall include that new career appointment hiring decisions shall be made in consultation with the agency's DOGE team lead consistent with applicable laws. The agency shall not fill any vacancies for career appointments that the DOGE team lead assesses should not be fulfilled unless the agency head determines the positions should be filled. Listen to DOGE or you're out. And who's in charge of DOGE? Elon Musk. And who are these leads at DOGE? All of those teenagers. Elon Musk and a band of teenagers are going to run our country in tandem with the voice that is Donald Trump. And we're just going to all be okay with this.